We have two new tactile keyboards from Corsair, the K70, and if you guys know anything about the K70s, or if you've seen any of my videos, you guys know that I really like the K70s and I use them personally on my rig. But I always wanted some tactile switches. The reds are too soft for me. You may be someone who loves reds. If you're a gamer who really likes the soft linear feel of the reds, then more power to you. You guys can grab the reds all day long and I will not judge you for it. However, I'm a tactile person and I really like the browns and I really like the blues, and that's exactly what we have here. Got the blues here, got the browns over there. So let's talk about these two keyboards, and then we'll talk a little bit about the two different switches to help you make the best decision. That's what we're here for, helping you decide. I'm not going to tell you what to decide, I'm going to give you the information and then let you decide. First off, let's talk about the actual keyboards themselves. The K70 keyboard, now the frame or the chassis on this is nice aluminum. It's like brushed aluminum on the top. It's just a really sturdy frame, and it has a professional look to it, very clean and minimal style. That I personally like, but it's up to you whether or not you like this style. Maybe you like, I don't know, maybe you like plastic. I don't know, maybe you like Dell keyboards that are $12, the look of that. I don't know of anything like that that has cherry switches. But anyway, this one has a nice clean feel to it, cool to the touch, which is really cool. What? The dimensions are 436 millimeters by 165 millimeters by 38 millimeters, and that's without the wrist rest. It does have a wrist rest that comes in the box. We'll show you guys that in a minute. It weighs 2.6 pounds or 1.2 kilograms, and I guess for the 5 people out there that are still using the Imperial system, it's 17.24 inches by 6.54 inches by 3 inches. All the keys are individually backlit, so let's go ahead and take some of the keys off and take a look at it. There you can see those switches. We have the browns and the blues, and we'll talk about those in just a second. This keyboard is not like the K90 that has all the different banks of keys on the side for like programmable hotkeys and macros and that sort of thing. This is more serious business. I want to play my FPS games and do my work, or maybe you don't need all the different macros and that sort of thing. But there is some internal memory and there is some things we can do with that. Now, first off, we have some different options. We have 3 different levels of luminosity, plus we have off. So I guess that's 4 levels if you count off as a level. We also have a lock button on the top, and the LED behind the lock button will come on to let you know if the start button is disabled. Now the lock button, like I should have told you that first, the lock button disables the start button, or the super key. People in the comments always yell about anything you call that word. It's the meta key. I don't even care, guys. Just whatever you want me to call it, that's what it is. The button down here in between the control and alt button. Whenever you press that button, yeah, it'll bring up the Windows thing if you're in Windows. So you just push the lock button and it won't come up anymore. Also on this keyboard, we have media controls. We have a mute button, a satisfying roller with a nice texture on it so your hands don't slip around. Beneath that, we have stop and back, forward, play, pause, all that stuff. The soft touch wrist rest can be used, and it's really easy to clip onto the bottom. You just clip it on at an angle, then set it down. If you like it, then go for it. I'm actually using it without. I like to have mine on the table. I use my keyboard completely flat. And speaking of flat, let's take a look at the back. Now on the back of the unit, we have 4 rubber feet, so it won't slide anywhere. And we also have 4 extendable feet. So you can stand the entire unit up. You can have it leaning up, or you can have it leaning forward, or I guess it'd be leaning forward or leaning back. So there's a lot of different options here with these feet. Or you can even just put one foot up and have it all wobbly. You can do all those things. Also on the top, we have several different polling options here. That's what the 1, 2, 3, and 4 is, that you can pick your favorite polling rate for this. And there's also a BIOS option. Sometimes, when you have a nice new keyboard like this or something, you'll plug it into your computer and the BIOS of the UEFI will be like, what the hell is that? I have no idea what you're doing. I have no idea what that is. So this is a quick fix for that. You throw it in BIOS mode, and then the UEFIs and BIOSes all over the world can detect it. So most of you guys will not need that, but it's nice to have, in case you do. Cable on this is huge. I mean, it's like really thick and braided and firm, and it's even kind of hard to bend, but you can bend it. It's really thick because there's 2 USB plugs. One USB plug is for the keyboard, And on the head of the USB cable, there's, you know, a picture of a keyboard and then a picture of a USB logo symbol thing. So you'll know exactly what they are. They're also blue to really, you know, let you know that, hey, that's my keyboard plugged into the back of the computer. Really, really snazzy there. So having the separate USB on this allows the USB port on the top to be completely, it's just a pass-through. And that's going to be way nicer than having a, you know, built-in hub or anything like that. It's just a straight-up pass-through. You plug it into your system, and it's using up one of the ports on the back of your PC. And then right here, this is going to be a full-speed USB port that's dedicated just to that port. I think you guys are following me now. I don't need to reiterate that anymore. Some other cool things that you can do here. There's a button right beside the LED button. And if you press that, it lights up just your WASD keys and 1 through 6, and also your arrow keys. Let's say you want to go farther than that. Well, if you press that exact same button there and hold it down for several seconds until it starts blinking, you can go and activate any LEDs on the entire keyboard. And the internal memory will remember which ones you have selected. So if you just want, like, maybe you want 1 through 6 and 7, and you want your you know, GC and something else key, or your Q key, just whatever you want. Just go and smash the different keys that you want, and they will be active. Then press the button again, and it will store that so that only those LEDs will be activated. I'm trying to think of some things that I don't like about this. The only thing that I would like is maybe if it came in a few different switch options, you know, like greens and blacks, and I mean, there's always Cherry MX clears and whatever. I mean, everyone always wants a million different options, but I think they've gone with the 3 smartest choices: the blues and the browns and the reds. That's going to please like 98% of everybody out there. There's going to be a few special cases that really want a different keyboard, but I think they've got most of their bases covered. So let's talk about the 2 different tactile switches here that we're using. We've got the browns and the clicky blues. First off, Cherry MX switches, they're 4 millimeters tall, and at the 2 millimeter point is the actuation point. With the browns, it requires 45 grams of pressure to get it right to that, you know, actuation point at 2 millimeters down, and it's going to require an additional 10 grams of pressure, that's 55 in total, to mash it all the way down. Now, when you actuate it, the reset point is just above the actuation point. So on the browns, you actually don't have to release them all the way. You can keep it right at that 2 millimeter mark and double tap quickly. Just keep actuating it and actuating it and actuating it. So it's really easy, and they are stiffer than the reds, and they do have a noticeable tactile bump when you get to that 2 millimeter mark. So if you're someone who loves the tactile feel of, you know, the bump and actually knowing that you've actuated that key when you press it, then the browns are a really good way to go. If you want clickiness as well on top of that, well, you got to move up to the blues. Now the blues are very similar to the browns, but they are clicky and they require more force. They require 50 grams of force to actuate, and all the way down at the bottom, they require 60 grams of force. Now here's the interesting thing about blues. Blues, you have to be more deliberate, and you know, when you're clicky, you tend to be, you know, just like I think you tend to be a little bit more deliberate anyway, because the actuation point is here, and then you have to come back a little bit to get to the reset point. It's not like the browns. The browns, the actuation point is almost the same as the reset point, but with the blues, you have to release it maybe almost a millimeter. I have to check my notes, but you do have to release it a little bit, so you have to be more deliberate when you're doing double taps and that sort of thing in games. If you're someone who likes blues and you've used blues, you know what it's like. I've never had any problem double tapping on a blue keyboard, but I'm very deliberate. I've never had any problem at all double tapping on a brown keyboard. The only problem I've ever had was trying to type on a red keyboard. Sometimes I get a lot of typos because the keys are so soft. So the browns are sort of a midway point because you feel the tactile bump, and they're not as easy to accidentally press. If you're someone who's very precise, the reds are a good way to go. But I'm going to cover all this in a separate video. Right now, you just need to know that Corsair has these available for you guys. Build quality is just, you know, it's really, really good. The features are somewhat less than the K70, and some of you may like that. I actually, in fact, do like that. I don't like having the extra keys over here on the side. For me, I don't use them and they kind of get in the way. But if you're someone who needs the extra keys, you can check out the K90. So that's going to be it for this video. If you guys have questions, go ahead and click on the link on the screen. That'll take you to our forum where you can ask any questions. And be sure to check out our video where I cover all of the different mechanical switches out there. Not all of them, but I cover a good number of them, enough for most of you guys out there to make a good decision. So go ahead and click on the screen and check out our mechanical keyboard video. All right, so that's it. I'll see you guys next time.